Hi, I'm Doug DeMuro.
And I'm Tyler of Hoovie's Garage.
And today, it's another rousing episode of Hoovie and Doug talk about cars.
Yes, so let's talk about cars.
Let's do it.
Yes. Yes.
How many have we done, you think?
I don't know, 50.
It's too many.
Too many.
Okay. You want to do another?
Yes.
Do you want me to throw an introduction? We're talking about cars that we would recommend that you buy if they were reliable.
If only used cars that we would have, but we can't because they're not reliable.
You know, that really hasn't stopped me from buying most
Right.
things.
That's the problem is Tyler doesn't care if they're reliable or not. But
No.
this is used cars that you would like recommend that would be great. Like everybody would agree. These are great. If only they worked.
Mm-hmm.
What is your...
Pretty much any BMW of the 90s and 2000s.
Right. The E46 M3
Correct.
had a lot of problems. E39 M5
Yes.
is a great car.
Great car.
Can't have one, really.
Impossible to own.
You know
Absolutely
what's
impossible.
coming if you have one of those.
Right.
And you put up with it anyway because it's cool, but imagine if you didn't have to put up with it.
Oh, God. It would be a great car. You can't touch with a 10-foot pole.
No. And how about those V10 M5s and M6s?
Yes.
Those are famously problematic.
Yes.
Including entire, like, the engine will spin a bearing, the whole thing will go. That's a...
Not just the M5 and the M6s, even the lower models, the 45s and the 50s.
Yep.
They would be awesome cars, except, especially they have the manual ones, the 645.
Yep.
Like a manual.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah, totally.
If.
Yeah, those had rough, that was a rough era. I mean, new they were fine, but now 10 years old, 15 years old for the Z39 M5s, they can be kind of difficult.
Yeah, the electronics.
Electronics, Vanos,
yeah.
Subframe in some of these.
Subframe, yeah, the
SMG.
valve seals, the bottom ends, yeah.
Those would be cool,
Rod
but imagine having a V10 M5.
Oh, yeah, especially as cheap as they are.
Oh, yeah. But the problem, of course, if they were reliable, they wouldn't have gotten this cheap, right? And that's the
Yes.
thing. And that brings us to Maserati.
Yes, you're famous now for the Maserati and the toothpaste in the door.
Yeah, that was one of my crowning moments. And don't you think that the Gran Turismo, the early Coupe and Spider, I actually prefer. I think the Gran Turismo is a weird looking car.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
I like it. Yeah, it's definitely from the profile. It's weird. The front's cool.
Well, searching forward, I don't really get it.
I like it from the front.
Regardless, they're in the 30s, high 20s. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, if that was a reliable car, to have a Maserati in the high 20s. It's only like 8 years old, the oldest one, or 9 years old.
Right. They're bad though. My friend bought one, and the differential went out within 200 miles of buying it. It was just horrible. It was like $5 grand.
The ones that were the previous generation, like the Quattroporte with the Coupe and the Spider, those are really cheap.
Really cheap. Yeah.
Like 10, 15.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if that was reliable. Imagine if you could have a convertible Maserati or Maserati Coupe for 15 and it worked.
Right. But can you imagine? Because what is the pumps for the F1?
Yeah.
They don't make them anymore. You can't get them anymore. They have to be programmed to the car. So if this pump inside your F1 transmission goes bad, your car is totaled. You just walk away.
And that's what happens. A lot of these cars, that actually happens. They literally are totaled and they go for parts. What happens at the auction? People stay away from these things.
Except me.
Yeah.
But yes, mostly, yeah.
Nobody wants to put up with this anymore. And those old F1 transmissions are so clunky that, like, by modern standards, it's undrivable.
It's interesting that someone hasn't come up with like a conversion yet. I would think, especially as so many
conversion even.
Any kind of conversion.
But the
it could
cars
be
aren't expensive enough. The cars aren't valuable enough to spend 20 or 15 to convert it.
Yeah, but that didn't stop people from doing the small block Chevy swaps on the old Jaguars back in the 70s and 80s.
What else? RS6, 03 RS6, all-time great.
Beautiful.
Terribly unreliable. Transmission problems and almost immediately. But that was a cool car.
Very cool.
Would have one of those. For me, the P38 Range Rover. Do you remember the Range Rover? The end of the '90s, early 2000s. The one before the one I have, the one after the Classic.
Yeah.
That is, in my opinion, a beautiful car.
Great, but
Horribly unreliable, and to the point where there's no Land Rover dealer in the country that doesn't have a row of abandoned ones. Mine has like literally there's 4 rows in their back lot, and 1 row is P38s
with head gaskets.
Yep, head gasket and heater core, and it's only a $2,000 repair, but like the car's only worth $3. So
Right.
it's like, I'm not doing that.
Right. Well, and then you do it, and then you have to do it again. That's the thing. Okay, great. The head gasket goes bad, like on a Mercedes, the inline sixes, all that stuff. Okay, yeah, the head gasket once every 200,000 miles.
Right.
Range Rover.
It's like
about 2 years.
It lasts, it lasts like 3.5 weeks. You're done, and then you're doing it again. Yeah, that was the problem. If that car was even it doesn't even have to be as reliable as a Land Cruiser. If that car was even just a little reliable, they would shoot up in value like the Classics are starting to. Like that would be really, really cool.
I got a truck one. The 6-liter Power Stroke F-150 King Ranch.
Yeah.
Super cheap. Like the Duramax version is 30 grand in that year, and because it's the 6-liter, which was
So what? They had like a casting flaw or something like that. What was the problem with those?
everything. But yeah, it was just way underbuilt. So that the head gaskets would blow. The cooling system just could not keep up with them either. And
yeah,
it was just
that is true, and that's known on that vehicle.
Right.
Excursion as well.
Yeah, they even call it a bulletproof. Even if you buy one where they say, "Oh, we bulletproofed it," which means they did all the conversion to beef up the cooling system, the beefier head gaskets, they still blow up.
Really?
But it's such a cool truck, especially the King Ranch with that raw leather, you know. Oh yeah, just the smell of it smells like cows.
If the Duramax is more reliable, it just smells like cows.
But it's not a King Ranch. The King Ranch was so much cooler than anything Chevy and Dodge was doing back then.
What was
you had branded leather, stamped branded cow leather.
If you could get a Continental GT that actually ran right.
I'm still in so much pain over that. I just don't know.
Well, I mean, it was a bizarre decision that you made.
It was an accident. I didn't mean to buy one that was that bad.
Well, when you buy if you buy enough cheapest in the country, you're going to end up with a
taking a $20,000 hit on a car you drove for 30 miles. Yeah.
Listen, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Bentley's got a nice CPO, 1 year unlimited.
That's great for you. Yeah, for me. It didn't work out so.
Why didn't you get an Arnage? That's another car that'd be on this list.
I would have loved to have gotten an Arnage, but then I saw this one and it was so cheap, and I thought I was going to get a post-sale inspection, and it didn't work out.
Right, I remember that.
But we could, yeah, if that car actually worked, that would be great. But there's another thing. So many things totaling just in a little bit that I've pointed
totally.
Apart. That's the thing.
That would be cool. Those were incredible cars.
They were, and the 200 mile per hour in a giant sedan. It's just it's insane.
When I worked at a Bentley dealer when I was in college, and this Flying Spur Speed had just come out. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. That I always told myself was the car I would get if I could get a daily driver and had infinite money.
Yeah.
05, 06, that era.
Yeah, there's a lot of them in the 30s. It's really easy to find an auto.
Crazy.
In the 30s. Yeah, it's nuts. It just doesn't make any sense until you see what happens. Like the vacuum lines are hard plastic, and then are in the transmission tunnel, and the only way to access them is to just drop the entire engine. And it's because everything's so tight in there, and it's just everything like that. It's like a Ferrari major for repairs, except the engine was not designed to be dropped out.
Right.
It's a nightmare.
So the answer is there are many cars, almost all European, from the 2000s and 90s that we would buy and recommend to people if only you could get some life out of them.
Really, I would recommend them anyway, but
Tyler would buy them anyway.
Automotive masochist.
Tyler would buy them anyway, and then they'll break, and it'll be a bad situation for him and everybody else.
Never ends well.
I don't suggest doing that ever again.
You all seem to like it when it happens, so at least somebody's getting entertainment out of it.
Somebody's getting entertainment, someone else is paying for it, and that's really the goal with YouTube.
I wish somebody else was paying for it.
Well, in my case, someone else is paying for it, and that's you. I watch. You pay for it.
Yes, I will never make money on YouTube ever.
But I will get entertained. We all will.
Well, I was an old Chevy salesman, so you just had to say it like that.
Oh, because people knew, that's how people knew.
Right, like they would. I was the Chevy dealer, and so the owner of the Chevy dealership, when someone says, "Oh, we're gonna go look at the GMCs," we were supposed to say, if we didn't say it, we'd get in trouble. We would have to say, "Oh, you want to buy those catfish-looking things?" Because they had the eyes and the mouth like a catfish, and if we didn't say it, we would get in trouble.